Welcome to the Lost Previews, where we're going to be checking out preview chapters for The Lost Metal, 4th Mistborn Era 2 novel. I'm Danielle with the 17th Shard, also known as Fell Candy, and with me is my co-host, Marvin.
Hi, I'm Paleo.
So the 4th book of Wax and Wayne series, of course, Mistborn Era 2, is coming out this November. Today, we're going to be discussing 2 chapters that Brandon Sanderson has read of The Lost Metal, which is available on Arcanum at wob.coppermind.net, in case you needed to find the transcript. Keep in mind, this series will have Mistborn spoilers, of course, and sometimes some greater Cosmere spoilers as well. Let's dig in. So for Chapter 1, we have Detective Marcy and Constable Wayne in the Ellendale sewers. They're searching for an underground cavern where they believe a gang is making its lair, and Marcy believes that they're being supported by the Set. We see that Milan has been around with Wayne. They had a relationship, but she's been kind of absent, and she told him that they needed to break up. So Wayne had to talk it through with a woman of good repute. They later, as they're following in the sewers, find this metal door that had been pried open and then recently used. So they go in, and that's where Chapter 1 ends.
Yep. I mean, it does. We don't have much happening here, but a lot of dialogue, and I really like how Wayne and Marcy play off each other there. Like, I had my doubts whether they would work as a pair of detective or like as partners, but they really work here, I find.
I absolutely agree. I noticed in the chapter that Wayne was talking all sad about how no one wants him around, and that Wax has left him because he's so fancy now. And then Marcy goes, "You're the best partner I've ever had." And then Wayne's like, "Only partner."
Although she technically had another partner apparently at some point.
True.
Yeah.
True.
But that didn't seem to last very long. From the sounds,
I feel like their friendship is blossomed into a real friendship, and she's learned how to deal with his antics.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that's
definitely.
really nice to see.
Yeah, I really like when he was talking, I don't know, that he is more like a 16-year-old due to his youthfulness and whatever. When he says Milan is like 1,000 years old when she isn't, and like when Marissa said more because of your humor or whatever, because you think like a kid, and I felt like that was a little different from how Wax and Wayne interact, because with Wax and Wayne, it's almost like he's almost like a father figure for Wayne, sort of. So it's not as light, as light the interactions and more, and Wax doesn't joke around quite as much as I feel like Marasi did here. Like she really goes in on the jokes and humors Wayne. Yeah.
And she's pretty young too, so I mean, way younger than Wax. So she's got more of that youthful energy.
Definitely, yeah. But it's good to see that she's like a full detective now.
Yes.
I mean, she said she didn't really or didn't expect to do so much paperwork or whatever it was as a detective, but I feel like she really enjoys it actually, and yeah, I just loved her in this full detective mode here.
Mm-hmm. And that Wayne is actually an official constable. I thought that was kind of neat. He wasn't just, a contracted or deputized person.
Yeah. That was about time that he became one.
Yeah.
Like after 3 books. Yeah. All these things happened over a 6-year time skip now. And I feel like it didn't feel jarring to me at all that it was 6 years. Like, at least for now, it doesn't feel jarring. When I compare it to Rhythm of War, where we had only 1 year time skip, it isn't that different, really. It's even a little less so, I feel, because a lot happened in those in that 1 year in Rhythm of War, and less so in these 6 years. I feel like we are still relatively where we left off with these characters.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice to see them kind of catch us up in their conversations. So we see, Milan having some kind of mission from Harmony that she needs to go to, and she was kind of being a little distant from Wayne to begin with. And then they even mentioned that Wax was he had a new role as kind of a politician and being fancy. So it kind of catches us up while they're talking, which was really nice.
Yeah, I think Bren handled that well. Like, it didn't feel too much like it's just exposition. It was a conversation that they had, and they could bring it up naturally. Yeah, I've actually been a little surprised that Milan and Wayne's relationship went on for that long, even because, I mean, I'm happy for them, but in Ben's of Morning, it felt almost more like a fling to me, or at least that Milan saw it that way. But I mean, it's nice to see, I guess, that they are a proper couple, although they are breaking up, I guess.
Right. It might have been a little bit more rocky than we were led to believe.
Although, I mean, I guess it must be hard to be together with an immortal being who is constantly on missions from God, basically. That's,
true.
Yeah. But it also fits Wayne very well in a way.
You're right. He's a little unconventional anyways.
Yeah. What we also learned is that they are now building, or like why they even learned about this cavern is that they're building tunnels under Elendel for trains. And that has me wondering, like, how much their technology has progressed in those 6 years, because we know they know the Southerners now, and they have the Ed metal technology and the medallions, things like that. So I wonder how much of that has reached Elendel yet, or if anything at all, if they are willing to share. Yeah.
They've worked on their air travel too.
Yeah. Guess they're going underground first now, but
right.
see above ground. Yeah. But yeah, because I feel like over 6 years you can do a lot in that regard, and I get we won't see that many advancements in Lost Metal, because that's you can't do that much in one book, and you also need something for Era 3. But I feel like we will see something in this book, and there also was, of course, the blurb that mentioned some Ed metal based technology that Wex will discover. So yeah,
right, that's true. We also see Wayne is kind of able to handle himself a little bit better with the holding guns, and he can shoot them if he needs to and stuff. I'm sure that some of that may have come with his training as a constable, but it also seems like maybe he's working through his past.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's good to see him growing there. I don't think he'll ever be like full-on guns blazing going into things, because that's also just not his style, but definitely good to see him improving there and dealing with his issues.
It's actually also interesting because both of them have their allomantic powers, and they kind of are opposites of each other.
Yeah, true, yeah.
So that's kind of a neat dynamic. I wonder if we're going to see some of that play off of him.
Now that you mention it, I think we almost definitely will, because it's Bran we are talking about, and interesting applications of his magics is like his deal. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, there are probably wops about what would happen if you overlaid different kinds of speed bubbles, but I'm not familiar with any right now. But yeah, definitely, I feel like we are going to see something there. It's too perfect of a setup for us not to.
It is. Did you have anything else to say about Chapter 1?
I think the only thing that stood out to me a little, or not stood out to me, but had me interested, is what exactly the set is doing in Elendel, with like how they are supporting this gang, because we don't really know what their plans are now that they couldn't get whatever the Bands of Mourning, if they couldn't get them. So they're still a very mysterious organization, and they appear to operate more in the open almost, or at least have ramped up their operations quite a bit, but we still don't really know what they're after. So I'm interested to learn more about that.
Well, they're kind of more based in the outer cities, right?
At least from what we've learned so far, yeah.
From the blurb and everything. So maybe they're using these tunnels as a way to get into the city, or As Marcy was postulating, maybe they're using it to retreat to when they're, done with their, whatever they're doing, raiding or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, that's about it, I think. Didn't, as I said, not too much happened here, but interesting to catch up with the characters.
Yeah. It was and it was kind of short, little introductory chapter. All right. Chapter 2, we see that Steris is helping Wax prepare for a senator meeting. And of course, Steris being Steris, she's very well prepared, helping him with a checklist. And she has 2 copies of all of his paperwork that he needs to bring. And we see that they have 2 children, Maxilium and younger sister Tindwyl. Beautiful names. Max, in typical 5-year-old fashion, is drawing pictures and wants Wax to bring his pictures of dogs and cats with him. And it's just really cute to see them have a little family. We have Wax. That's going to be hard to get used to. Wax goes before the Senate to bring arguments about this bill that has been proposed and debated, which basically would make the Elendel governor the president of the entire basin. He is arguing that doing so would lead to an all-out war between Elendel and the outer cities. And so he counter-proposes a national assembly from all the different cities. He does get some booing, but not as much as I think he would have gotten at one time. Wax is worried about Set and Trell, who've been working in getting a strong foothold over the last 6 years. Another senator attempts to argue against Wax's points, and then Wax pulls out the paper that Steris provided him that he forgot, with blatant evidence that the senator and others were corrupt and basically buying each other's votes to increase their personal wealth. Brandon ends the reading at this point. We're not sure if the chapter goes on, but it seems like a pretty full chapter about what Wax is doing.
Yeah, definitely. I love Wax's politicking here. Like I wasn't sure how it would turn out, because like it's a very different lifestyle from his Ruff's lawman career. But I think it worked really well, and like he plays to his, he uses his strength as a intimidating figure, and like all these stories about him to his advantage. Yeah.
Another thing that I really like about that, he kind of found his groove as this political member of society, but he's leaning on his gunslinger persona, and then not only that, but he approaches the debates as a gunslinger would, a lawman would. He says things like, you waited to aim well for return fire like this, or that he came with a bullet loaded in the chamber ready to fire, talking about his evidence and everything. So I thought that was really neat, and he seems like he's enjoying himself in this role.
Yeah, definitely. And also like how he says, being in the Roughs taught him to have a proper loom, and like he's like he really sort of tries to dominate the chamber by like sitting or standing around and looking at all the senators until they are quiet. So yeah, I can really imagine Wax standing there and like being all great, or how would you call it, like imposing this imposing figure. And with his comments about like the current governor being not that competent and being more about I don't know, the like appearances. I almost wonder whether we're going to see Wax become governor at the end. Could be something, or like he becomes the first elected member or like leader of the National Assembly or whatever. Could see that happening for him in the end. Yeah,
definitely. Well, you were talking about the appearances of people when Wax was thinking to himself how one of the senators looked, how they had ghostly skin and pale hair. And that was how I was picturing Era 1 fashion to be.
Yeah.
from all the ash in the sky and everything. And it's kind of pulling those comparisons to having one leader, like the Lord Ruler, over everybody. And it's kind of a neat little visual juxtaposition because we see Wax and we've known him always as this rough lawman. And then he's talking about these powdered senators and everything. So it's kind of a neat little observation that he made.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I haven't thought about that this sort of harkens back to the final Empire times, but it really sort of does, like, and I mean the whole lord or nobility system that they still have is a remnant of that. It's not sure if that's going to stay around till Era 3, but yeah. But going back to the beginning of the chapter, I mean, I haven't made much of a secret around it on previous shardcasts or whatever, but I really adore Steris, and I love that she can be herself around Wax, I feel like, because she when he says, like, or when she go through her list, and then he goes, do you also have a kiss for your husband or whatever written on the list? And so, oh no, I must have forgotten that. And like, they're really cute together. And
they are. Yeah, she fits him very well because she's very much prepared and he needs that backup, I think.
Oh yeah, he does.
I mean, obviously, because he forgot this key piece of evidence that he needed during this meeting, and she had a copy for him. So
2 copies, actually.
Yeah. We need to talk about their children.
Yes, we do.
Maxillium. Okay, to be honest, I actually kind of like it because I like,
I hate it so much.
He's naming him after himself. That's really cute.
I find it almost worse than naming him directly after himself. Like, if he was Maxillium Jr., I could almost get behind that, but just flipping the first letter upside down, basically, and going with Maxillium is, I don't know, it really grinds my gears. I don't know why, but I absolutely hate that name. And
oh no!
When I see Brian go to talk, why did you name that kid that name? Because he's very adorable, and but I cannot stand the name.
Yeah, I think it's really cute, but there are way too many jokes that can be made. And when you name your kid, you have to think about all those jokes. Of course, they're not speaking English, so the jokes are going to be a little different from what we're thinking.
Yeah. Although Max is sort of, that's the funny thing, Max sounds more Earth-like than Wax does.
It does,
Yeah. Or is an Earth name actually, so yeah. But also that his sister is called Tindwyl. Like, I like that connection to the Era 1, of course, and that Steris would be the one to propose that as a traditionalist, and also, like, it's Steris who proposes it, although she doesn't have Terris heritage, but Wax does, so it's also, again, Steris being awesome. But yeah.
I seem to remember Wax. So Wax had a Terris name. Was it Sinthu or something?
Something like that.
I don't know how to pronounce it. But I wonder if Tindwyl the Younger has another name, or if they're just going to call her Tindwyl and really embrace that heritage.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to just call her that because Wax also isn't on the greatest terms with the village or in the terrace in general, I feel like. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to, or they have given her another name. Although it would be kind of neat as well, yeah, if they did that. But yeah, I think for the Covermind people, it's going to be a bit of a not necessarily a nightmare, but a problem that we now have 2 Tindwyls.
Yeah, you'll have to have some kind of nickname for her.
Tintu, no. Tindwyl.
Well, it's good to see. So in this 6-year skip, they've had 2 kids after a year. So because Max is
see, that's the problem with the
5. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I assume that Tindwyl is a little younger than Max. Judging by how she's like crying or something at the time, or like at least clamoring around. But I mean, it's nice to see them having kids at all. Like that's not something you see often in novels.
I'm hoping that the addition of children is not going to make like Steris take a step back in this story or something, because oftentimes once a character is elevated to a mother figure or something, they're not adventuring anymore or something. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles that.
That it's like it's good here that we are essentially in Victorian times in Era 2, because I mean that back then, like, they have a governess, so it's very common back then to have like a nanny for your kids, and so I feel like that is a neat way of solving it. So Steris can go off on adventures, at least to some extent. But I feel like in general we won't see much adventuring from Vex and Steris, and more like politicking, and uncovering plots and like working through connections, things like that, while Marasi and Wayne are off in the outer cities doing the really adventurous stuff.
So I wonder, with these 2 chapters being like the first 2 chapters of the book, really, how will this thing that Marasi and Wayne are investigating play into the politics that are happening in the second chapter? Like, it's obviously going to be the set.
Yeah.
I feel. I mean, even from the blurb that we went over in the very first episode, we talked about what we're going to be expecting in the book. So I'm wondering if these caverns, and then the title, The Lost Metal, and the politics of unifying the cities and Elendel, I wonder how it's all going to play out.
Yeah. I mean, Vex thinks about how a lot of or at least some of the senators, or at least people in the government, might be agents of the set as well. So I think there's a lot of intersection there where they could, I don't know, while Marasi and Wayne are off to the outer cities to investigate whatever is going on there, Steris and Vex figure out that, this senator is connected to this set member or whatever, and then they're going to figure out that stuff out that way. Yeah.
And what is Milan's quest from Harmony? That's got to play into it. I mean, he's not going to throw away something like that in the very first chapter.
Yeah. Speaking of Harmony, I wonder whether Harmony, or Sizet, actually knows who Trell is, or what Trell is, because Vex thinks about it and says like someone or something that is behind the set. So either Harmony hasn't told Vex, which I mean wouldn't be surprising. You don't always, or he doesn't always talk to God. But it's interesting to think about, because like the common theory so far is that it's an avatar of Trell. It's almost confirmed, I think, if I have my WOPs straight.
An avatar of autonomy.
Yeah. So I really wonder how much Harmony knows about them at this point, because they must have done something at least already. Because when we think about the blurb that said that the city falls under the influence of Trell, there must have been something going on already that Harmony could have at least detected, I feel like. Yeah.
Did you have anything else to talk about chapter 2?
And there was one more thing, and that is that we have a Malvish ambassador in the Senate chamber.
Right.
Yeah. That is, so for those who don't remember, the Malvish are the Southerners that we see in Bands of Morning that come with the airship, and who Alec is one of them. And he also mentions there are rising tensions there, and it's not surprising that there are rising tensions, given how these people deal with their own, like how the Elendel people deal with the people in the outer cities. But I wonder whose fault it is that they are having tensions with the Malvish already.
So Aradel had stepped down 2 years back. This is the quote from the chapter. And it did make some kind of sense that the next governor chosen had been a military man, considering the tensions with the Malwish right now.
Yeah.
I didn't even pick up on that one. So Yeah.
And he also mentions it later on again when because we do have an ambassador there, so it's not like they're complete like shortly before war with them. I feel like it's still more, maybe it's trade disagreements. I could see something about that. But yeah, it at least lowers my expectations a little bit that the Southern technology has advanced much in Elendil society. Yeah. But yeah, that was about it from me, I think. It was a lot of politicking, so again, not much action happening, but I feel like after the end of the chapter, or at least after the end of the reading, there's going to be some action.
Yeah. I'm really excited about next episode, chapter 3. Please come and join us on 17thshard.com. Join our Patreon, our Discord, our forums for all of your Lost Metal discussion and Brandon Sanderson content discussion. We'd really love to speak with you and hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye.